statement from Botswana. You see, when you talk about something that really affects you, that you lived, that you continue to live, sometimes it's very important to give an experience. You don't speak like someone who is from outside. You talk like someone who is living that thing, talking from the heart. So the Kaza, as we know it, the great river, the Makgadikgadi, the depressions, the big fall, as we have said it, the great floods from Angola along this river, the great parks that we have, animals that we have, the good soils that have sustained our people. When we talk about sustaining our people, we mean the real poor people who lived this life along these great environments. So I'm talking from experience because in my constituency, I've lived this. I'm a member of parliament for a constituency that covers the whole part of Kaza in Botswana. Starting from Makalamabedi, I share it with the Mahung MPs, of course, and there are a number of constituencies that are affected in my area. About almost 10 constituencies are covered by the Kaza. So, which means when you look for a vote, you have to look for a vote to make a government in Botswana, mainly from the Kaza area. You get your vote. So I live in that area because even in my area in Botswana, we have got two different areas. There are those who were born and brought up in Gaborone. They may know or have little experience of the Kaza as compared to those who were brought up in the rural areas, especially along the Kaza area. So
area de Kaza. Portanto, eu sei.
So, okay. I remember and I lived in the Kaza area, so I'm talking from experience. What I wanted to say, which I want to buttress, probably one of the two things that His Excellency Dr. Hichelema has pointed out, was about conservation. Yes, when I lived along this area, as I was brought up, I was told there are certain plants which we need not to cut during winter. One of them, Ibidua Mokhalo. I don't have the scientific name for it. You don't cut those plants during winter. When I was brought up, I was told that there are certain animals, but in particular, with reference to myself, I was told you don't eat this animal. You don't eat it. So, totems is part of our culture. You don't eat certain animals. Those who are in a certain area, Bakatla, the different tribes, there are certain animals that they don't eat. And those animals are preserved in that case, because those people will not touch those animals. So conservation in our culture is something that we lived. It's something that is part of our livelihoods. Then we have the livelihoods of the rural people. As we grew up, we knew that the people in our area, they depended on wildlife. They lived side to side with wildlife. They also depended on plowing. They depended on certain plants in the area. So all this is what we want to protect today and preserve so that those people can have sustainable livelihoods. Unfortunately, I want to be a little bit, bring a radical view here. One of the radical views that I want to bring here is that it's personal. It's not from the government or anything. I realized that much as we fight poverty in the rural areas, poverty persists. It is very stubborn. It continues to be there. It grows. But when you reflect on it, when you look at some of the policies that we make, Kaza being included, when you look at or reflect on some of the issues that we are dealing with today, you find that we are doing that for the the poor people. We are doing that for the rural areas, people who are living there, who are living in poverty. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't represent fully their views, because at some times, if they were to be here, if this summit was about the poor people, I'm sure the recommendations that they will bring up here will be quite different, probably from what we will have reached as we reflect on these things. So I want to live my life and one day experience a summit of the poor, to reflect on the policies that we have as government, national government, to reflect on some of the things that we say we are bringing up so that we protect and sustain their livelihoods and have their views. That was just to preface my remarks. Having said that, without wasting time, I want to say, I would like to begin by pointing out that the Kaza TFCA initiative is one of the great initiatives within the SADC region that acts to emphasize regional cooperation in the fields of tourism, biodiversity conservation. This initiative is a shining example of how regional cooperation can benefit not only the environment but also the economies of our member states. I commend the efforts of all involved and hope to see Kaza TFCA continue to flourish. The summit, as we have already heard from previous speakers, serves as a crucial opportunity to reaffirm commitments by partner state governments to this remarkable initiative that we have been developing since 2006, when the Memorandum of Understanding for the establishment of the TFCA was signed. Your Excellencies, before getting to the theme of the day, let me assure you that Botswana remains firmly committed to the Kaza TFCA initiative, as epitomized by our volunteering to host the Secretariat, getting land of it, as it has been mentioned, as well as not only stopping that far. Just a few days ago, we were passing or discussing a CAB memo to deal with diplomatic benefits of those officers of the Kaza Secretariat. So very soon they will get their diplomatic, yes. We have passed that memo. They will get their diplomatic rights which they were aspiring for. The theme for this summit, leveraging Kaza's natural, capital, and cultural heritage resources as catalysts for inclusive socio-economic development of the eco-region, resonates deeply with Botswana's National Transformation Plan. Our plan prioritizes 8 sectors for development. Within it, we have tourism at the forefront, and this is what we are dealing with. A thriving Kaza TFCA, with its abundant wildlife and cultural richness, presents a significant opportunity to attract more tourists to our region. Botswana is committed to working closely with our partner states to unlock Kaza's full potential and ensure its inclusive economic development across the eco-region. And we have just heard from His Excellency that we must position ourselves as a destination of tourism. Yes, of course, in Botswana we have that motto of Botswana, our pride, your destination, including the tourists. So it will be Kaza in this place to be a destination of tourism. To capitalize on these opportunities, Botswana has developed a national tourism strategy and master plan 2021. This plan strategically positions 4 of our 8 tourism development areas within the Kaza TFCA. We are also working to enhance our tourism offerings with strong focus on local community inclusion. This is not only to ensure that economic benefits are shared, but also to foster a sense of ownership and pride in our natural heritage. You know, just to indicate one thing, when Kaza started, it's not that people were properly consulted in my area. I know it made a lot of people, especially those who are within the Kaza area, to be very uncomfortable. Some were asking themselves, what is it? Are they taking our plots, our cattle posts, or what? There were so many stories. So, but with time, we tried to do a lot of public education. Now they accept, they know what Kaza is all about. It is to their benefit. Some of them, they are benefiting even from the programs that they were not very much attracted to, the CBRM policies and programs, because of the sensitization by Kaza. And some of them, they are even invited to some areas to go and meet with other people from other places. So that in its own, a lot of people in our Kaza area, they are very much aware of what Kaza is all about. Your Excellencies, the theme speaks to harnessing our natural capital and cultural heritage for economic development. In this regard, we are pleased to share Botswana's success with community-based natural resource management. Our CBNRM model empowers local communities living alongside wildlife to participate in its management and share the accruing benefits. This has resulted in increased household incomes and improved infrastructure in villages bordering wildlife areas. We are confident that a strong CBNRM framework across the Kaza region will not only empower communities, but also contribute to the TFCA's long-term sustainability by fostering a sense of stewardship among those who call this eco-region home, because it's our home, as you have rightly indicated. We recently, 2022, passed the Access and Benefit Sharing of Biological Diversity Act, which aims to ensure that the people get fair and equal benefits from revenue and any other sharing arising from it. Your Excellencies, in addition to our CBRM initiatives, we award hunting quotas to community-based organizations. That is what we've been doing. That is what we are doing. I think His Excellency spoke to it very clearly when it comes to sustainable use of the resources, which some people mistake it for recklessness or not good use of our resources. As we have said, we have lived with these animals the longest, and we have been very kind, and we've been looking after them even before all these other organizations were in place. So we have the trust. We would want to continue to live and also look after our animals. I think culling is also part of management, because these animals will not look after themselves. It's us who must look after themselves and use them sustainably. That's what we want to do. But you know, when you don't do that, there will be no ownership of these animals. The people will not take ownership of these animals. As is known to most of you, there are those who seek to detract us. Let me not go into that one, because it has been very clear, and it has been very lucidly said by His Excellency. Your Excellencies, in keeping with the summit's theme of inclusive socio-economic development, we recently passed the Economic Inclusion Act, which dictates that there needs to be a significant percentage of Botswana local citizens in any venture before we allocate any resource to it. We apply this to our allocation of business, land, tourism, concessions, and even tender allocations. So we have passed an act of inclusive act. So where you consider your citizens before you could consider other people in terms of allocating the resources, the critical resources. So I don't think that, I think this can be done by all other people in our region. The Kaza TFCA is a great initiative, as I've said, and like any grand endeavor, it comes with own set of challenges. The challenges have been said, we have heard it. Our success in conservation has led to thriving wildlife populations. However, this also means our citizens must share their living space with these animals and forests that they also regard as home. This proximity, or this approximately often leads to conflicts such as elephants raiding crops and lions preying on livestock. We are taking heed of His Excellency's remarks that we sometimes encroach in animal areas. We have seen that settlements growing all over the place, even on the routes of migrating animals. So in our area, the most migratory animals are the zebras. They have their routes. So we are even declaring some of the places as zebra, the Makadikadi, as the zebra's homes. They normally migrate along those areas. But as we know, it's very difficult sometimes. People have choice to where they want to build their kraals, where they want to make their borehole. You know, they apply for any land that they want, and they are allocated land. But we must be mindful of how we disturb some of these corridors. So I think as Kaza, we will continue to educate people. This coexistence results in human-wildlife conflict, but we need to have a peaceful coexistence policy with the animals. That will help us. But as I've said, a lot has been said. Let me not take a lot of your time, although I could have said more. I was just wanting to share our experience with you. The other comment is that of, what do you call it, the visa the uni visa. No, I don't know why we are so behind, because the way we are so committed to this thing here, I don't believe the story. Maybe we're not informed properly. But I'm telling you, Your Excellencies, I promise you, it will be done like yesterday. I can assure you, knowing my president, it will be done like yesterday. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Honor. Executive Director, you had, the decisions are being made right here. Excellencies are very, very proactive. Thank you, Your Honor. May now I invite the President of Namibia, Dr. Nangolo Mbumba. Your Excellency, sir.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Your Excellency, President Hakainde Hichilema, President of the Republic of Zambia, Your Excellency Emerson Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Your Honor Slumber Tsogwane, Vice President of the Republic of Botswana, and my personal friend. If I don't say that, I will not be able to cross over Botswana to go back to Namibia. Honorable Lopez Daniel, Minister of Tourism of the Republic of Angola, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Members of Parliament, Your Excellencies, Members of the Diplomatic Corps, Honorable Governors and District Commissioners, our own Executive Secretary of SADC, Mr. Elias Mahosi, Dr. Nyambe Nyambe, he could not find another name, Executive Director of the Kavango Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area Secretariat, distinguished traditional leaders, all invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and fraternal greetings from Namibia. When I was sitting there, Your Excellency, I was looking at our name, Kaza. And in that Kaza, there is no reference to Namibia. And I said, what is this? Then I realized, no, the person who was involved in coming up with that name must be a Namibian. We have two regions in Namibia, Kavango East and Kavango West. And the last region between Angola, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Botswana is Zambezi. So, very much Namibia. I am honored to join this important summit, which aims to review and track the progress made since the establishment of the Kavango Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area through the founding treaty way back in 2011. From the outset, I would like to thank our gracious host, His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, for the warm welcome and generous hospitality accorded to the Namibian delegation since our arrival in this picturesque town of Livingstone, Zambia. I also commend Your Excellency for the splendid arrangements for this conference. I must say that we have through His Excellency, the chair of the meeting, endorsed all the recommendations you have made. I must also say that it's the first, I have attended quite a number of meetings and conferences and summits. It's the first meeting I'm attending, and the host president is referring to other countries. This Mbumba from Namibia, Nagaba from Zimbabwe. No, hosts don't mention other countries. They only mention their country and finish. HH is the most gracious host I have in this country I ever attended. He even told me yesterday, no, don't call me Your Excellency. I said, Your Excellency, no, just call me HH. We are keen to share our experiences and efforts in leveraging natural capital and cultural heritage resources to promote socioeconomic development and sustainable development in a sustainable manner. To this extent, the summit's theme perfectly aligns with our strategies, plans, and vision for a green economy, which encourages balanced economic development while safeguarding the environment. As we know, the Kavango Zambezi Transfer Conservation Area is an important regional conservation and development program that also seeks to use sustainable tourism to promote rural development in the participating countries. Its ambition is to foster sustainable utilization of the natural resources as well as promoting stewardship and generating benefits for the communities living in the areas encompassing the Kavango and Zambezi landscape. The progress we have achieved to date through this program is laudable. Namibia has made significant strides towards protecting fragile ecosystems. Presently, 44% of our country's total surface area is classified as protected areas. Conservancies, tourism concession areas, and game farms in line with our environmental conservation laws. Namibia's continued conservation program is comprised of 86 registered conservancies and 43 community forests covering 180,000 square kilometers. And in that area, over 227,000 residents. Our success story is rooted in community-based conservation of wildlife, which as a strategy has helped us to unlock the vast potential of our natural resources as a means of empowering our local communities. We are grateful and proud of this achievement. The local community-based institutions referred to as conservancies in turn help to manage our natural resources at the grassroots level in collaboration, naturally, with the government. Through legislation, communities that form conservancies gain management rights over wildlife and tourism concession in our national parks. Thus, they are able to use these management rights to develop economic opportunities such as ecotourism and professional hunting. Subsequently, these opportunities provide incomes and jobs for members of those communities in some of these poorest areas of our countries. In this manner, communal farmers become direct participants in the conservation and natural development and rural development processes, from which they are now able to derive direct income through wildlife and tourism activities. All revenue generated from hunting is channeled to rural communities through our conservancy program. This is part of our strategy to deliver on and fulfill our national obligation to the Convention of Biological Diversity and its 3 objectives, namely biodiversity conservation, 2, sustainable use and access, and the benefit sharing. We have observed an increase in capacity within conservancies to manage wildlife and to develop wildlife-based economic activities. Furthermore, we have seen the creation of jobs and the generation of revenue in areas where the only activities taking place used to be subsistence farming. And subsistence farming in a dry area is not a winning formula. We have seen how local communities, through holistic integrated wildlife management, have started to complement other forms of land use. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, despite the milestone we have achieved in respect of wildlife management, illegal hunting, especially that of elephants and rhinos, remain a challenge on our continent. The protection of wildlife essentially involves crime prevention, and there is an urgent need for government and communities to work together to strengthen measures for crime prevention in order to protect our wildlife. Collaboration in this regard, particularly through joint intelligence operations, is therefore imperative. Within the context of Kaza, Namibia is actively participating in various efforts coordinated by Kaza Secretariat to disrupt illegal wildlife trade and poaching. Your Excellency, in order to continue making progress in the sustainable use of our natural and cultural heritage resources for environmental conservation and socio-economic development, we need to create effective synergies as a means of generating mutual benefits for all our people. I therefore call upon ourselves as partner countries to allocate adequate human and financial resources in order to attain the goals and objectives of Kavango, Zambezi, Transfrontier Conservation Area. I believe that through concerted efforts, we will strengthen the Kavango, Zambezi, Transfrontier Conservation Area initiative and ensure its yield fruitful impact and result for many years to come. It would be remiss in me not to commend the Kaza Secretariat, a key institutional arrangement, our community who often bear the brunt of coexisting with wildlife, and our technocrats who actively work to implement our collective decisions and policies. Thank you for the sterling work and continue to build on it. Finally, I want to thank my fellow head of states and government for their full commitment to Kaza. I assure you that Namibia remains committed to our shared vision for a development of Kaza. And I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Before I call upon His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe, a diplomatic appeal, sir. Next time you visit our country, please bring us more Zimbabwean scarves, and then you can take most of our Zambian scarves. That will cement our Kaza partnership. Your Excellency, Dr. Mnangagwa, please, sir.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremonies. Your Excellency, my dear brother, well, young brother, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Your Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, my dear brother, Your Excellency representing my dear brother from Botswana, Dr. Masisi, and Your Excellency Dr. Nangolo Mbumba, President of the Republic of Namibia, and my Honorable Minister representing our dear brother, President of the Republic of Angola. The Executive Secretary is Her Excellency Elias Mangosi, who is with us. Honorable Ministers from the Kavango, Zambezi, Transfrontier Conservation Area partner countries, Your Excellency Ambassadors who are here, and the representatives of diplomatic missions who may be here. the Kaza Executive Director, Dr. Nyambe, traditional leaders who are here, senior government officials, civic organizations, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Before I proceed to make my statement, I wish to mention that I'm brought up here in Zambia. I'm a Zambian product, but while Zambians feel proud that they produced a Zimbabwean president, Zimbabweans are also very proud that we produced Banda Rupia. So we say in Shona, Chindiro enda, Chindiro zoka. The plate goes, the plate comes. So I feel greatly honored and privileged to be here today to attend this Heads of State and Government Summit on the Kavango, Zimbabwe Transfrontier Conservation Area, the Kaza TFCA. This summit is running under the theme leveraging Kaza's natural capital and cultural heritage resources as catalysts for inclusive socio-economic development for the eco-region, which is a befitting theme as we seek to develop our economies, our societies, and our peoples. This summit strengthens the legacy that was left behind by the founding fathers of this Transfrontier Conservation Area, which is aimed at harmonizing policies, strategies, and practices for managing shared resources that straddle across international boundaries. As a result, we can drive equitable socio-economic benefits through sustainable use and development of our natural and cultural heritage resources. This Kavango Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area, together with other Transfrontier conservation collaborations in the SADC region, are an indication of our unity and regional integration efforts as Southern Africa. It is this spirit of unity which will facilitate continued beneficial cooperation and collaboration among our nations for the betterment of our people. Your Excellencies, I am delighted that the Kaza TFCA has provided us with tools and frameworks to enable us to meet our obligations towards the attainment of our national visions, as well as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Further, the Kaza TFCA has created building blocks for SADC member states to forge closer partnerships as we implement various provisions of the several multilateral environmental agreements between us, such as the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Fauna and Flora, the CITES, and other related protocols which we have signed. In so doing, there is need for convergence on conservation-related matters, taking into account our unique circumstances and approaches to wildlife conservation. Particularly, we must be holistic in the strategies we proffer to address these challenges in the conservation of our elephants, given the bulging populations and the ever-increasing incidences of human-wildlife conflict. I heard sometimes at some conference in Europe where they were saying that we should not kill our elephants. I'm sure we should agree to donate to Europe 40,000 or more elephants, and see that we'll be able to keep them. The principle of sustainable utilization has been effectively used in our region through the issuance of hunting and management to reduce our elephant population and curtail human-wildlife conflicts. It is regrettable that those who finished their wildlife regulate us who have preserved them. Regrettably, these approaches are being resisted and opposed by some quarters on the global stage. As a region, we have a proud history of wildlife conservation. Among us, we have the largest herd of elephants and other megafauna in the world. This should provide us with an edge in global conservation matters and enable us to create the much-needed benefits for our people. It is disheartening, most unfortunate, and unacceptable that those who are opposing our conservation philosophy have themselves failed to manage their own wildlife populations. Some to the extent of extinction. In contrast, we in Southern Africa, and more specifically in the Kaza area here, we have managed to grow our wildlife populations substantially. We should never allow those with dubious agendas to dictate the way we manage and utilize our own God-given resources, as well as the conservation models we deploy within our own jurisdictions among ourselves. In this context, we need a common voice in defending our conservation policies, our people, and our sovereignty. The upcoming international engagements, such as the CITES 20th Conference of Parties, COP20 in 2025, should provide a platform to defend our policies and values in our region. At the same time, it is critically important that we remain mindful of the need to address other challenges surrounding conservation in the region. The El Nino induced drought has far-reaching consequences on the socio-economic landscape of our region. Our response to the resulting disruptions to the ecosystems, coupled with negative impact on wildlife, agriculture, and water resources, must be met with robust and proactive interventions to build greater resilience in our region. To accelerate climate action, the importance of access to quality, timeous, and accurate climate, weather, and other environmental information cannot be overemphasized. This involves collectively strengthening infrastructure, developing early warning systems, improving disaster preparedness, and enhancing community resilience through education and capacity building programs. In the case of Zimbabwe, the wildlife population growth among certain animal species, such as elephants, is leading to overgrazing, soil erosion, habitat degradation, and the worrying incidences of conflict with adjacent communities. As a result, my government has established a human wildlife conflict relief fund to provide support to victims of human wildlife conflict. The fund will focus on relief to victims for death, injury, or maiming as a result of problem animals. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to express my sincere gratitude to His Excellency President Hichilema and our Zambian counterparts for organizing this successful summit. I also applaud our key stakeholders who have supported this initiative: the Kaza TFCA Secretariat and the teams from our member states for their tireless work. May I assure you that Zimbabwe stands ready to support and play its part for the success of all ongoing future Kaza TFCA programs. With this short statement, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, since you were brought up in Zambia, I don't know whether in addition to the Zimbabwean passport, you also carry the Zambian passport.
I grew up here. Primary education, secondary education, university education here.
We're very honored, sir. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
I'm president, I went to this.
I'm sure our president will be too delighted to give you a Zambian passport just in case you lost it. Thank you, sir. To close the submissions, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Sir.
Thank you very much, Frank Mutuvila. Really, I think for us as hosts, it is to express our gratitude once more to all of you, to my colleagues here, my elder brother, senior president. I want Zambians to know that they are senior presidents in these things. So it's a senior president. Indeed, and my other colleagues and all the ministers that have been involved, technical teams, partners, including those that are never mentioned in situations like this, who are doing lots of work behind the scenes to make this summit successful. Secretariat of SADC providing the framework, the guidelines. We're so grateful to all of you. And really, all I can say is to indicate that I'm working very hard as a chief servant in this country, coming from the private sector to dosage, to bring in the public sector a distinction between reporting for work at 8 hours and knocking off at 17 hours and calling that work. That is not work. That is hanging around. Right? That is hanging around. That's hanging around. So work must mean deliverables. Deliverables, and I know my cabinet colleagues are tired of hearing this from me, that we must focus on deliverables. So at a summit like this, we've raised a number of things. We have agreed, and I'm very grateful to my colleagues for signing off on a number of requests that you are making to us, such as the Kaza Uni visa, and indeed other measures that I believe that the Minister of Tourism, Zambia Minister of Tourism, on behalf of his colleagues, read out. And I'm also glad that in your deliberations, you didn't have to debate disagreement. You debated on how to reach consensus, how to reach convergence. I think that's the way it should be. But also the concept of competition. We here have what we call a third country name. Zimbabwe, Zambia, we have a third name which encapsulates the two countries, which sometimes we call it Zimzam. Zimzam. And really you can call it Zimzam, you can call it Zamzim. It's one and the same. And the point I'm using, why I'm using this terminology is that the spirit here is that we must focus on complementarity. We can focus on, if you like, convergence as opposed to segregation. No, we are Zimbabwe, we are Zambia. No. We are Namibia, and we are Botswana, we are Angola. We are actually one package which would derive more benefits for the intended agenda, vision of Kaza, if and when we worked together, and deeply so. I think that's the message. So is SADC. So as a sort of a, let's see, okay, other than him, as sort of the newer president in the SADC platform, and we shall see the elections coming, what they will produce, I have always been thinking we need to revolutionize just the way we work as regional groupings, to focus more on the business, on the economy, on the issues that will deliver social value to our people, to those who elect us into office. Sometimes we focus on the politics rather than the economics that will support the politics and sustain the democracy. So, but to do that, we know that politics has its place because it's a platform that takes us into public office. It is the one that allows us to save those that are vulnerable. I like what Vice President, my brother, said, that sometimes we forget when we meet at high-level meetings like this, that the reason we are here is for the most vulnerable people, those that need just water, and this drought, water. So I want would like us to see Kaza, Angola, issues that affect the grassroots people. Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia. Try and bring them, work stream them into the Kaza program of work. Such as my senior president, President Mnangagwa here. We, together here, 5 of us must say, how quickly should we be putting water in the areas that are having no drinking water because of the drought? Now hear me out. As I said, I'm a cattleman. The same water actually will be available for domesticated animals. It will be available for wild animals in some cases. In some cases, we must take water in these Kaza areas. Quickly put water holes there. Otherwise, there will be no game to talk about. Some of the areas, by the time the drought is ameliorated somewhat, depending on what this rain season is going to be, wildlife will be dissipated. Trees will die off. So Kaza must look at practical issues as well. I don't want to repeat what I said over there and what my colleagues have said. So we would like to see innovation, ingenuity of our Kaza management. Sir, you with no names to pick from, since one name is repeated twice. It's repeated. That's what the president said. The Secretariat really should assist us and, if you like, adapting, for Kaza to adapt to the challenges that we face now, so that some of the things don't even need heads of state summits. They need just at the management level, you take decisions. And you have a delegated authority to take those decisions in order to respond, sometimes reactively, but many times proactively to the environment in which we operate. So really for me is to simply say, can we get the job done? Let us get the job done. Decisions that are made, I'm told there will be decisions read out, a communique, but you can see the attitude here. We had decided. So let's move. Let's implement. Let's adjust without another summit in the context of the broader mandate, delegated mandate that you have as the Secretariat, as member country, if you like, liaison offices, ministers, and connected. And the President here are alive that it's not just the ministers of tourism here. These are multidisciplinary areas. Environment, green economy, we call it ourselves, water development, energy, all of this. For example, Presidents, as you were talking, I was saying, it should be part of the Kaza minimums to say, by a certain year, no tourist vehicle in our parks will be driven by diesel or fossil fuel. They must all be electric vehicles so that we can be correct environmentally. I'm just giving an example of the targets that we should set for ourselves in our work program. So otherwise, thank you very much. And I think the work now is left to all of us, specific groups, individuals, to get on with their job. So others would say. All this will end up into nothing if we don't implement what we've decided. I want to close by my beloved subject, that the order of these things, we say it loosely, social and economic development. I think it's economic and social development. Let's identify areas of investment. Some investments are to be supported by the 5 countries. Even lodges, as simple as that. Planning. I was having a chat with the German ambassador in a side meeting this morning. Said one of the things we would like to work together around Kaza is planning for aesthetic value. Planning for aesthetic value. You can have in these areas a ramshackle here, right? Degradation activity here. And here, you want to conserve the environment. Here, you want to conserve the forest. So we must consolidate all these things. So what I mean is that planning is no longer a preserve of the good planners in Zimbabwe. Because along the Zambezi River, you can't distinguish Zimbabwe and Zambia. Certain parts you can't distinguish. I know he made some jokes, this president. Let me make one joke, just one joke. Have you ever seen a country with a long strip like that? Cutting Botswana and Zambia, almost displacing Botswana and Zambia from having a borderline. The Caprivi Strip. It was a very clever thing that the Namibians did, because they needed to come into the Zambezi River. Yeah, I know. Because the German ambassador is a friend of all of us, and she's such a good lady. I said, what does the Namibians did? And he whispers, no, it's the Germans who planned that. It's the Germans who planned that. So really, I mean, at some point in Katimamulilo, in Sesheke, you can't say this is a job, this is a responsibility of Zambia, this is a responsibility of Namibia, because we are all intertwined around there. It's a complexity. So therefore planning becomes important, not to elaborate or illustrate a point. So I think that's what Kaza must be looking at as well, in addition to the broader, grandiose agenda items and objectives. Otherwise, to my presidents, colleagues here, thank you very much for your time, and I know we'll be guided how we proceed from now, but also to all of us that are here. Zambia is proud and really obligated, humbled to be a host to such a wonderful summit. Thank you very much.
Your Excellencies, I would like to thank you all for your insight, contribution to this very important topic. The Kavango, Zambezi, Transfrontier conversation area now dubbed Rivers for Life. I'm Frank Mutubila. God bless you all, and long live Kaza. Thank you to you all. Thank you. I was very close.
President Dr. Mokgweetsi Masisi has arrived in the U.S. to attend the premier JCK Diamond Trade Show in Las Vegas. According to Minerals and Energy Minister Lefoko Moagi, Botswana needed to have strong presence at this year's show due to the ongoing developments in the diamond space that could unsettle the diamond market. Meanwhile, Minister Moagi says Botswana is keenly watching the ongoing negotiations between Anglo-American and BHP on the sale of De Beers. Anglo-America holds 85% shares in De Beers, while Botswana has 15% shareholding. Minister Moagi says Botswana is looking to increase its stake in De Beers when Anglo-American divests from De Beers. There has been 3 failed sales negotiations so far between BHP and Anglo-America. The Tsamama Trust chairman, Mr. Charles Proctor, says money they will raise in this year's Tsamama Trust Walk on Sand Dunes for the camels will go towards establishing a new location to depopulate camels from the Tsabong ecotourism